sat on the patio of a bustling restaurant, deeply engrossed in their conversation. Though passing men occasionally glanced their way, they were too wrapped up in their discussion to notice. "Melanie, how long has it been?" asked Gary, a tall brunette, leaning forward. "Feels like ages since we last caught up." Melanie, a blonde a couple of years younger, flashed a smile. "I know, I feel terrible about it. Between grad school and family, my schedule is packed." "How's business school going? You must be close to finishing your MBA by now." "Almost there," Melanie sighed. "Spring break is next week, then just a handful of classes before graduation. My thesis is already submitted, so I don't even have to take finals." Gary's face lit up. "That's incredible. Congrats! Do you have a job lined up yet?" Melanie shook her head. "I've barely had time to think about it. I figured I'd take a break before jumping into work. I just want to enjoy life a little first. But enough about me. What about you? Anyone special in your life?" Gary let out a breath. "Still searching for the right guy." Melanie smirked. "With your looks, you could date someone different every night." Gary rolled her eyes. "It's not as fun as it sounds. You have to deal with a bunch of losers before finding someone decent. Honestly, I envy you. Happily married to Adam. How's he doing?" Melanie hesitated, stirring her drink. "He's fine, I guess." Gary raised an eyebrow. "That didn't sound convincing. Something wrong?" Melanie sighed. "Not exactly. He's always working, and we hardly get any time together. And when we do, we never go out because money's tight." Gary nodded. "He's putting in the effort to secure your future. And let's be real, business school isn't cheap." "I know, and I appreciate it," Melanie admitted. "But sometimes I miss how things used to be. My classmates are always going out, meeting new people, having fun. Meanwhile, I'm stuck at home rewatching old shows." Gary studied her carefully. "So, is there someone at school you'd rather be having fun with?" Melanie laughed, shaking her head. "You always read me like a book." She leaned in, lowering her voice. "Actually, there is someone, a freshman. Carl, he's really sweet." She hesitated before adding, "And I'm pretty sure he's into me. He's always complimenting me, telling me how great I look, how well I'm doing." Gary frowned slightly. "I doubt Adam would be thrilled about that." Melanie waved a dismissive hand. "It's just harmless flirting." "But Adam's not the kind of guy to take it lightly, which is why I'm not telling him," Melanie said with a sigh. She shifted in her chair. "Honestly, I can't help but think about how exciting things were before I got married, going on dates, feeling that spark. I miss it sometimes." Gary crossed her arms. "Be careful, Melanie. You have a great husband. You don't want to throw that away. Adam isn't the type to forgive betrayal, and there are plenty of women who'd be happy to take your place." I know, Melanie said quickly. "And I do want a life with him. I want to start a family, settle down. It's just, I kind of wish I had one last adventure before everything gets too serious." She hesitated, lowering her voice again. "Carl invited me to Florida for spring break. If there was a way to go without Adam finding out, I'd probably do it." She laughed, shaking her head. "But that's just a silly thought. It's not like I could actually pull it off." Gary smirked. "Don't be so sure I know exactly how you could make it work." Melanie's eyes widened in disbelief. "You're kidding. How?" Gary leaned in, lowering his voice. "It's simple. First, you create an anonymous email and send Adam a vague message, something about his wife having an affair." Melanie's expression shifted to shock. "You want me to tell my own husband that I'm cheating?" Gary shook his head. "Not exactly. Just plant the seed of doubt. Make it seem like someone's spreading rumors. That way, he's too busy trying to figure it out to suspect anything real." Melanie hesitated. "But that would just make him suspicious of me." "Exactly," Gary said, a smirk playing on his lips. "And when he confronts you, act outraged, furious that he doesn't trust you. Tell him you need space and say you're going to Florida to stay with your mom for a bit." Melanie frowned. "What if he calls her?" "Then tell him not to," Gary replied smoothly. "Say you need time to clear your head and don't want him checking in. Make it clear that if he does, you might not come back at all." Melanie stared at her friend, considering the idea. Slowly, a smile formed. "You know, this could actually work. But what about the other man in the rumor?" Gary shrugged. "Pick someone totally impossible, someone you could never be with, like an old professor who left years ago." Melanie's eyes lit up. "Oh, I've got the perfect name. A creepy professor from my first year. He vanished ages ago." Gary grinned. "Perfect." Meanwhile, in his office, Adam rubbed his temples, exhausted. If the parts didn't arrive soon, they'd miss the deadline for the prototype. After the foreman left, Adam slumped in his chair, brainstorming backup plans, when his email chimed. Hoping for good news, he glanced at his inbox, then frowned. Subject: about your wife. He almost ignored it, but curiosity won. I hate to be the one to tell you this, but Melanie is having an affair with Professor Bellingham. Just thought you should know. A good friend. Adam reread the message, trying to process it. This is ridiculous. Melanie wouldn't cheat on me. Someone must be stirring up trouble. But who? And why? He hovered over the delete button, but hesitated. This is the last thing I need right now. It must be some kind of mistake. Still, his gut wouldn't let it go. Damn it, he muttered. It couldn't be true. Frustrated, he hit reply. Who are you? What proof do you have? He hit send, knowing it was probably pointless. The sender might never respond. The email could be untraceable. Better to start with Bellingham. Adam opened his browser and searched for the business faculty at the university. No results. Frowning, he checked the full faculty directory. Still nothing. Expanding the search to nearby schools yielded no leads either. This is ridiculous, he muttered. Did good friend just fabricate a name? He tried Google next. 5 people with the last name Bellingham popped up, but 2 were women, and none were local. It has to be a joke, a cruel prank. Yet, doubt gnawed at him. What if there was truth to it? He hadn't noticed any red flags, but that didn't mean much. He had been so consumed by work. Had he been neglecting her? He rubbed his temples, thinking back. Melanie had wanted more date nights, but he had refused, buried in his business, working 70-hour weeks. Didn't she understand he was doing all of this for their future? And then there was money, tight as ever. Her tuition kept increasing, and every spare cent was funneled into keeping his business afloat. Feeling a pang of guilt, he opened his calendar and scrolled back over the past 3 months. Not a single scheduled date night. Damn it, he muttered under his breath. But just as quickly as the guilt came, frustration overtook it. Even if she felt neglected, that didn't justify cheating. They had agreed on these sacrifices when they decided to build a life together. She had no right to complain now. His brooding was interrupted when his foreman appeared in the doorway. Hey, Adam, good news. The parts just arrived. Relief flooded him. Finally, let's get them unloaded and into the workshop. At least one crisis was under control. Maybe now he could focus on his marriage. Still, the unease wouldn't go away. If Melanie was seeing someone, it had to be a faculty member at the university. Maybe good friend got the name wrong. Determined to get answers, he pulled up the university's website again and found the number for the HR department. When a receptionist answered, he asked, Hi, I'm trying to confirm if there's a Professor Bellingham on staff. Which department? She asked. I think business, but I'm not sure. A brief pause. There's no Professor Bellingham in the School of Business. What about in another department? Adam pressed. Please hold, she said. He tapped his fingers impatiently on the desk, listening to the hold music. When the receptionist returned, her tone was clipped. Sir, there is no faculty member named Bellingham at this university. A thought struck him. Could he have worked there a year or 2 ago? I can only confirm current staff. Why not? It's policy, sir. Anything else? Adam exhaled sharply. No thanks. Still unsatisfied, he tried calling the dean's office. After being transferred multiple times, he hit another dead end. A headache pounded behind his eyes. I need a drink. Then, an idea. He grabbed his phone and called Gary. Hey, Gary, it's Adam. Can we meet at Macy's place after work? I need some advice. Gary hesitated. About what? Not something I want to discuss over the phone, Adam replied. All right, she agreed. 6 o'clock? Perfect, thanks. Before heading out, he refreshed his inbox. No new messages from good friend. At Macy's place, Adam spotted Gary sitting in a quiet corner. She had already ordered for them a glass of white wine for herself and his usual draft beer. As he slid into the seat, he greeted her with a quick peck on the cheek. Thanks for coming and for the beer. She studied him closely. All right, Adam, what's going on? Business troubles? He sighed and hesitated for a moment before finally asking, Do you know a Professor Bellingham from the university? Gary frowned. Bellingham? Never heard of him. Why? Without a word, Adam pulled out a printout of the email and slid it across the table. Gary picked it up and read it twice, her expression tightening. When she looked back up at him, her gaze was filled with concern. No wonder you didn't want to talk over the phone, she murmured. Adam leaned forward. What do you think? She hesitated, choosing her words carefully. Honestly, Adam, I don't know. I don't believe it, but I also don't think you should ignore it. You spent all day trying to track down this Bellingham guy and found nothing? Nothing, he confirmed. And I don't have the time or the money to play detective. That's why I wanted your opinion. You've been close to both of us for years. Tell me the truth. She reached across the table, squeezing his hand. You're asking me if I think she's cheating? Adam nodded, his face weary. Gary sighed deeply. You need to show this to Melanie. She deserves to know that someone's spreading rumors about her. And if the situation were reversed, wouldn't you want to know? Adam stared at the email, then let out a slow breath. You're right, he admitted. If I keep this to myself, it's just going to eat away at me. Whether it's true or not, it could destroy our marriage either way. He stood, pulling Gary into a quick but firm hug. Thanks for helping me think straight, Gary. I don't know what I'd do without you. She patted his back reassuringly. You and Melanie are both important to me, Adam. Let me know what happens. He nodded and headed for the door, while Gary watched him go, her expression unreadable. By the time Adam arrived home, Melanie was already waiting, arms crossed. Where have you been? She demanded. I called, but you didn't answer. Adam ignored the question and took her hand, leading her to the couch. I need to show you something, he said quietly. It's been weighing on me all day. She sat beside him, her posture tense. He handed her the printout. I got this email today, he said. Can you explain it? Melanie's eyes darted across the page. Then, to his surprise, she shot up, anger flashing across her face. You think I'm cheating on you? She snapped. Seriously? Some anonymous email lands in your inbox and that's all it takes for you to doubt me? No, If you don't believe it, why even show it to me? She cut him off, crumpling the paper in her fist and tossing it at him. You trust some faceless stranger more than your wife? Grabbing her purse, she turned toward the door. I can't even look at you right now, she spat. I don't know when I'll be back. The door slammed shut. Seconds later, tires screeched as her car sped down the driveway. Adam dropped onto the couch, raking a hand through his hair. His first instinct was to defend himself. He hadn't accused her of anything, just shown her the email. But deep down, he knew that if the roles were reversed, he'd be furious too. Still, what was he supposed to do? Pretend nothing happened? He had to show her. Gary was right. The hours dragged by as he replayed the fight in his head, feeling no closer to a resolution. He wanted to fix things, but had no idea how. Eventually, exhaustion won. He dozed off. A creak at the front door jolted him awake. Melanie stepped inside, arms crossed. Mel, we need to talk, Adam started. Not now, she cut him off coldly. You can sleep on the couch. We'll talk in the morning. She turned and disappeared down the hall, slamming the bedroom door behind her. Adam sighed, sinking back onto the cushions. Sleep wasn't going to come easily tonight. Adam was up early, but instead of heading straight to work, he lingered at home waiting for Melanie. He made coffee and absent-mindedly scrolled through the news, his thoughts too restless to focus. At exactly 8 a.m., Melanie finally entered the kitchen, dragging a suitcase behind her. Adam's stomach tightened. Where are you going? He asked, his voice cautious. She lifted a hand, cutting him off before he could say anything else. I need space, Adam, she said firmly. This whole situation, it's shaken me. I need time to think. His eyes flicked to the suitcase. So you're leaving? Melanie nodded. Spring break starts tomorrow and I'm going to Florida to stay with my mom. He exhaled sharply. Melanie. No, she interrupted, her tone steely. I'll be gone all week. Don't call me. Don't call my mom. Don't try to contact her house. Do you understand? He swallowed, forcing himself to nod. I mean it, Adam. Her expression hardened. If you try to reach me, I might not come back at all. Before he could think of what to say, she turned on her heel and walked out, hauling her suitcase to the car. A moment later, the front door slammed and he was alone. Adam sat motionless for a long moment, staring at his untouched coffee. Eventually, he shook himself out of it, forced himself to get dressed, and drove to work. When he arrived, the foreman had already distributed the long-awaited parts, and production was back on track. At least something was going right. His marriage, however, was another story. That afternoon, his phone rang. Jerry. Adam hesitated before answering. Hey. I was worried, Jerry said. How did it go with Melanie? Adam let out a dry laugh. Long story. That bad, huh? Jerry sighed. You need a drink? Adam didn't hesitate. Yeah. Same place? Meet you there. When Adam arrived at the bar, Jerry immediately noted the exhaustion on his face. Rough night? Jerry asked as Adam sat down. Adam didn't respond right away, taking a long sip of his beer before recounting what had happened. How he had shown Melanie the email, how she had lashed out, and how she had left for Florida. When he finished, Jerry rubbed the back of his neck, looking guilty. Damn, Adam, I feel awful. I was the one who told you to be up front with her, and now she's gone. Adam shook his head. No, Jerry, I've thought about it, and I don't regret telling her. Hiding it would have been worse. I just didn't expect her to react like that. He let out a breath. I just have to hope she cools off, and we can talk when she gets back. Jerry nodded. So what's your plan now? I don't know, Adam admitted. We need to talk, or we're never going to get past this. Maybe I wait a few days, then try calling her. Jerry immediately shook his head. Bad idea. That's the worst thing you could do. She already thinks you don't trust her. If you go against her warning, you'll just prove her right. Adam exhaled heavily. Yeah, but I feel useless just sitting here. And I still don't know who sent that email or why. He paused. The only thing I can do is figure out if this Professor Bellingham even exists. Jerry nodded. That makes sense. If you can track him down, maybe you can get to the bottom of this. Over the next few days, Adam stayed focused on unraveling the mystery behind the anonymous email. Despite getting nowhere, he remained convinced that Bellingham had some connection to the university. Maybe I can't find him because he's a former student, not a professor, Adam thought. I'm an alumnus too. Maybe the alumni office can help. Calling the department, he identified himself as a graduate and was quickly transferred to another representative. The woman on the other end asked for his contact details, address, phone number, and email before finally getting to the point. How much would you like to contribute to the alumni fund? She asked. Adam pinched the bridge of his nose. No, I'm not calling to donate. I'm trying to find someone named Professor Bellingham. I think he might be a former student. There was a brief pause, then typing sounds. Let me check. No, we've never had a graduate by that name. Are you sure? Could he have been in a graduate program? I checked our records. If he attended but didn't graduate, we wouldn't have it on file. Adam sighed. Got it, thanks. As he ended the call, frustration boiled inside him. Great. Now I'm just on the next alumni fundraising list. The following day, still determined, Adam took an hour off work to visit the university in person. The halls were eerily quiet. Spring break. Of course. Brilliant timing, Adam. Still, he managed to track down a few faculty members and asked around. Most shrugged, claiming they'd never heard of Bellingham. Eventually, an assistant dean gave him a sharp look. Sir, you need to leave. If you don't, I'll have to call campus security. Adam muttered an apology and walked out, even more frustrated than before. Back at his office, he slumped into his chair, checked his inbox, still nothing from good friend, and buried his face in his hands. What now? His phone rang. Are you the young man looking for Professor Bellingham? An unfamiliar voice asked. Adam straightened. Yes, I am. Who's this? My name is Dr. Avery Mayfair. I teach at the Graduate School of Business. I overheard your questions today and thought you might need some answers. Adam hesitated. He wasn't sure if he should discuss this with a stranger, but at this point, he was desperate. I'd appreciate any information you have, he admitted. Well, Dr. Mayfair said thoughtfully, I think I can put your mind at ease. Bellingham was an adjunct professor here 2 years ago. He was a good instructor, but his course had low enrollment, so the university didn't renew his contract. Relief washed over Adam. So that means there's more, Mayfair interrupted. At the start of this academic year, he emailed me to share some updates. He got a job at Black Hills State University in South Dakota. South Dakota? Adam repeated, caught off guard. That's right, Mayfair confirmed. And there's something else you may find interesting. In that same message, Bellingham mentioned his recent wedding. His wedding? Adam asked, confused. Yes, Mayfair said. He married his longtime partner, Harold. Adam blinked. Harold? That's right. Adam let out a breath. That settles it then. Indeed, Mayfair agreed. Whoever sent you that email was lying. Adam exhaled, finally feeling like he was making progress. Dr. Mayfair, I can't thank you enough. I still don't know who sent that message or why, but at least now I know it was complete nonsense. I'm glad I could help, Mayfair replied, his voice softening. If you don't mind me asking, why did you trust me with this? I'm a stranger to you. Adam hesitated. Before he could answer, Mayfair spoke again, his tone quieter. Years ago, I was in a similar situation, he admitted. My wife left me for someone else. I know how painful this can be. If your wife had truly betrayed you, I wouldn't have hesitated to tell you, but in this case, I'm relieved to set the record straight. Adam swallowed, his chest tightening. Thank you, sir. You have no idea how much I appreciate this. That evening, Adam picked up the phone and called Gary. I still have no idea who's trying to sabotage my marriage, he admitted. But at least I know one thing. Melanie isn't cheating with Bellingham. Gary's voice carried a note of skepticism. Are you completely sure you can trust this Dr. Mayfair? Without a doubt, Adam said firmly. I looked him up. He's been a professor for decades, well respected. And I checked the Black Hills State University website. Bellingham is listed there, just like Mayfair said. That's a relief, Gary said. You must feel better. I do, Adam admitted. But now comes the real challenge. What do I say to Melanie when she gets back? That's easy, Gary said without hesitation. From what you told me, she never actually let you explain your side. So, when she returns, tell her you never doubted her. Say you knew about Bellingham all along and immediately looked into it. If you play your cards right, Adam, she'll be the one apologizing. Adam frowned. That's not exactly how things happen, Gary chuckled. Come on, a little creative storytelling won't hurt anyone. Meanwhile, before heading home from Florida, Melanie called Gary. Hey, I wanted to check on Adam, she said, her voice hesitant. I'm a little nervous about how this is going to go when I get back. Gary laughed. Oh, you owe me for everything I handled while you were off having fun. Thanks to me, your marriage might be stronger than ever. Melanie listened as Gary recapped how Adam had uncovered the truth about Bellingham. If you play this right, Gary continued, Adam will apologize, you'll apologize, and everything will go back to normal. There was a pause. What if I don't want things to go back to normal? Gary's tone shifted. What are you saying, Melanie? I had an amazing week, Melanie admitted. Carl is so much fun. Her voice dropped to a whisper. And he's incredible in bed. I haven't felt like this in years. I don't want it to be over. I want to keep seeing him, at least until the semester ends. Help me figure something out. Gary sighed. Melanie, you already took a huge risk sneaking off with him. Seeing him here? That's playing with fire. Maybe, Melanie said coyly, but your last plan worked perfectly. I know you can come up with something. There was a long silence before Gary spoke again. I was afraid you'd say that. Fine, I'll help. But you need to understand something. You're gambling with your marriage. Adam is loyal, hardworking, and completely devoted to you. Men like him aren't easy to find. Are you sure this is worth it? Melanie giggled. You had me at I can come up with a plan. Gary sighed in resignation. All right, but don't say I didn't warn you. Do you still have that email account? Of course. You told me to keep it. Good. You're going to send yourself another email from good friend. Melanie frowned. What? Why? The first email accused you of cheating, Gary explained. Adam proved that was a lie, but he still might have lingering doubts. This time, the email will accuse him of having an affair with me. Melanie's eyes widened. What? But he knows that's not true. Exactly, Gary said. Which means he'll realize good friend is a liar. He'll dismiss any future suspicions completely. No more doubts. And you? You'll be free to do whatever you want. There was a pause. Then Melanie laughed. Gary, you're a genius. You just bought me a hall pass for the whole semester. There are two things you need to do, Gary continued. First, make sure Adam tells me about the second email. Why? So I can reinforce the idea that you're trustworthy and this mystery sender isn't. Smart, Melanie mused. Adam really values your opinion. What's the second thing? After you send the email, log out of both accounts. Why? In case Adam snoops. You really don't want him finding any emails from Carl. Already handled, Melanie said confidently. I told Carl never to email me, but better safe than sorry. That evening, when Adam got home, he was surprised to find Melanie in tears. Things had been going well since she returned, so the sight of her crying caught him off guard. Mel, what's wrong? He hurried to her side. Oh, Adam, she sniffled, handing him a printed email. It's happening again. His jaw tightened as he scanned the message. Adam, I hate to tell you this, but I thought you should know. Your husband has been sleeping with Gary. You deserve better. A good friend. Son of a... He clenched the paper in his fist. You know this is a lie, right? Of course, sweetheart, Melanie said soothingly. I know you'd never cheat on me, just like I'd never cheat on you. And Gary, she's our friend. She'd never do something like this. Someone is trying to mess with us, Adam growled. I need to figure out who's behind this. Maybe I can track these emails. Melanie hesitated. Are you going to tell Gary? Should I? She nodded. I think you should. Whether she likes it or not, she's involved now. The next morning, Adam called Gary. Well, how are the lovebirds today? She teased. His voice was tense. We're fine, but something's come up. Can we meet after work? I'm working from home today, Gary said casually. Want to stop by? Yeah, I'll be there around 6:30. That evening, when Gary opened her front door, Adam's expression was grim. What's wrong? She asked. Wordlessly, he handed her the printed email. Gary scanned it quickly, then let out a sharp breath. This is ridiculous. You know I'd never do that, right? Of course, Adam assured her. Melanie said the same thing. Gary shook her head in disbelief. I'm glad she trusts me, but seriously, Adam, what do you think this means? Adam's jaw clenched. Someone is determined to stir up trouble. First, they tried to frame Melanie. Now they're accusing me. The only explanation is that I have an enemy, but I have no idea who. Gary sighed. Well, I'm glad you told me, but honestly, unless this person slips up, I doubt you'll ever figure it out. I know, Adam muttered. I just wish they'd stop. How's Melanie handling all this? She's upset, he admitted. I came home and found her crying. No surprise there, Gary said sympathetically. The first email put her through hell, and now, on top of school stress, she's probably at her breaking point. You need to be there for her, Adam. Do you think we should block these emails? No, Gary said firmly. If another one comes, you'll want to see it. Good point, Adam agreed. But how do I protect Mel? For starters, Gary suggested, don't tell her if another one shows up. And honestly, you should check her email on your laptop. If she gets another message, forward it to yourself first, so she never has to see it. Adam nodded. That's actually smart. He stood. I hate that you got dragged into this. Gary gave him a reassuring smile. That's what friends are for. I'm here to help. Thanks, Gary. I'd better get home to Melanie. As Adam was about to leave, he hesitated, then turned back. He hugged Gary and pressed a grateful kiss to her cheek. Thanks for being such a great friend. I really appreciate everything you've done for us. When Adam arrived home, he was caught off guard by Melanie's unusually good mood. She was cheerful, almost glowing, a stark contrast to the tension of the past few days. The next morning, she was even more affectionate, waking up early to join him for breakfast, something she rarely did. This is a rare sight, Adam teased. You never wake up this early before work, Melanie laughed, sipping her coffee. I just didn't want you leaving without hearing me say, I love you. She leaned in and kissed him. By the way, I have a lecture on campus tonight. And afterward, some classmates and I are grabbing dinner. So don't wait up. I'll be home late. Adam shrugged. No problem. There's plenty of food in the fridge. I'll just heat something up. Thanks, babe, she said sweetly. I might stop by home first to change, but if I don't see you, have a great evening. Since Melanie wouldn't be home, Adam decided to stay late at the office. Business was picking up. A major client was considering a trial contract, and he needed to be prepared. Finally, something is going right, he thought. Now, if only I could figure out who's behind these emails. That thought stayed with him as he stepped inside his house later that night. As he made his way to the bedroom, something caught his eye. Melanie's laptop was sitting on the dining table. She didn't take it with her to the lecture? A thought surfaced. Does she still check her email? Maybe there's another message from good friend. He hesitated for a moment before lifting the screen. Gmail wasn't open, so he clicked on the login page. A window popped up, displaying available accounts. Melanie's usual email was logged out, but beneath it, another account was listed. Good friend. His pulse spiked. What the hell? He muttered. He clicked on it, but a password prompt appeared. He stared at the screen before slowly closing the laptop and leaning back in his chair. There's no way Gmail allows duplicate usernames, which means his stomach turned. Melanie sent those emails. His mind raced. Why would she frame herself? Unless it was never about the accusations. It was a distraction. She wanted me chasing some professor in South Dakota while she was off with someone else. A cold realization settled over him, her sudden need for space. That last-minute trip to visit her mom. He swallowed hard. Did she even go to Florida? Determined, he grabbed his phone and dialed his mother-in-law. After exchanging pleasantries, he casually said, "Mel and I were thinking of visiting next month. Would that be too soon?" "Oh, sweetheart, not at all. I haven't seen either of you in forever. Come whenever you'd like." Adam's grip on the phone tightened. She never went to Florida. Forcing a light tone, he said, "Great. We'll figure out a weekend." Then quickly ended the call. He set his phone down, his jaw clenched. Liar. Where the hell did you go? And with who? Then another thought hit him. The second email. The one she received. He had been too busy defending himself to ask questions. His chest tightened with anger. And now she's grabbing dinner after her lecture? A nagging suspicion crept in. I wonder what she wore tonight. Adam strode to the bedroom and yanked open her dresser drawer. He scanned through her lingerie. Something was missing. He checked again. Her garter belt? Gone. Matching bra and underwear? Also missing. Dinner with the girls, huh? He exhaled sharply, carefully putting everything back in place before heading to the kitchen. He sat at the table, fingers steepled, mind racing. You like playing games, Melanie? Let's play. That night, when Melanie finally returned past midnight, Adam feigned sleep. He heard her carefully tiptoe into the bedroom, then the sound of the shower turning on. Guess lectures really work up a sweat, he thought bitterly. The next morning, he was up early and left before she woke. He scrawled a note and left it by the coffee pot. Hope you enjoyed last night's lecture. Had to leave early for a meeting. Might be late tonight. Don't wait up. His workday was packed, but not with business. During lunch, he ran a few errands. He returned home in the afternoon to set some things in motion, then headed out for meetings. After killing time with dinner and a movie, he finally went home. By the time he climbed into bed, Melanie was already asleep. The next morning, she was surprised to see him still home. I thought you had already left for work, she said, smiling as he handed her a steaming mug of coffee. I wanted to see you before I left, he said casually. I have a flight to Detroit at noon. I'll be out of town for a few days, working on some new leads. Her eyes widened slightly. Oh, you don't usually travel for work. It's a new approach, he said smoothly. Should be back Friday night. Maybe Saturday morning, depending on how things go. He met her gaze. Will you be okay while I'm gone? Her smile brightened. Of course. I'm sure I'll find ways to keep myself busy. Oh, I bet you will. Good, he said, taking a sip of his coffee. Then, as if it had just crossed his mind, he added, just make sure to stay away from our good friend while I'm gone. The color drained from her face. That's not funny, Adam. You're right, he said with a shrug, setting his cup down. It's not funny. He grabbed his suitcase and keys. See you when I get back. As he walked to his car, his expression darkened. She didn't even notice I didn't say, I love you. She's already making plans. Now I just need to make sure she meets him where I want her to. Instead of heading to the airport, Adam drove toward the university. He parked a few blocks away and changed out of his usual business attire, opting for jeans and a sweatshirt. A cheap backpack slung over his shoulder, he walked onto campus unnoticed. He made his way into the Graduate School of Business's library, where the usual hum of students filled the air. No one paid him any mind as he wandered toward a row of shelves near the back. Reaching into his backpack, he pulled out the longest fuse firecrackers he could buy, quickly lighting the fuse before tossing them into a metal trash bin. Without hesitation, he turned and calmly walked toward the exit, wedging the door open with his backpack before stepping outside. Once clear, he retrieved the prepaid burner phone he had picked up the day before and dialed campus security. His voice was frantic. You need to get to the business school right now. There's a shooting, multiple gunmen still firing. Adam turned the phone toward the library, and within seconds, the crackling explosions of firecrackers echoed through the building. The sharp, rapid bursts sent panic rippling through the halls, shouts, hurried footsteps, and the unmistakable chaos of fear. Adam cut the call and calmly made his way across campus as alarms blared and students fled in every direction. He drove toward his neighborhood but stopped a few blocks away, choosing to observe from a distance. About an hour later, Melanie's car pulled into the driveway. Not long after, another vehicle pulled in behind her. A man stepped out. No place like home when things get dangerous, Adam murmured, a bitter smirk forming. He started the engine and headed to the motel where he had booked a room. Late that evening, he took another drive past his house. The second car was still parked outside. Satisfied, he returned to his room and settled in for the night. The next morning, as Melanie and her companion stepped outside, they both froze when they spotted Adam leaning against the unfamiliar car. "Oh God, Carl, it's my husband," Melanie whispered, her face draining of color. Adam remained still, watching as realization dawned on her. "I thought you were in Detroit," she blurted, then caught herself, knowing how guilty she sounded. She forced a smile. "Sweetheart, this isn't what you think. Carl just stopped by to—" "Stop!" Adam's voice was sharp, cutting through her excuse like a knife. "Every time you speak, it's just another lie, Melanie. I don't want to hear it." His expression remained unreadable as he gestured between the two of them. "This is exactly what it looks like. I know you spent the night together. I have proof, recordings, timestamps, everything. So do yourself a favor and shut up. You're out of chances." Reaching under his arm, he pulled out a manila envelope and handed it to her. "I'm filing for divorce. The details are in here, including my lawyer's contact information. Get yourself an attorney and have them reach out. But don't call me. Don't text me. As far as I'm concerned, you no longer exist." Tears welled in Melanie's eyes. "Adam, please, it was a mistake. Just one night. We can fix this, I swear." Adam's eyes darkened. "One night?" He shook his head, disgusted. "You've been seeing him for weeks. You planned this. You faked an affair accusation just to throw me off so you could run off with him during spring break. You didn't even go to Florida, Melanie. Your mom has no idea where you were, but I do." Melanie gasped, covering her mouth. Adam turned to Carl, his smirk returning. "And as for you?" He reached into his jacket and pulled out his phone, snapping a few pictures of Carl's stunned face. Carl's hands clenched into fists, his stance shifting forward as if ready to lunge. Adam didn't flinch. He slid a hand back inside his jacket, just enough for the handle of a pistol, a very convincing fake, to become visible. "Bad idea," Adam warned, his voice eerily calm. "I don't particularly feel like ruining my life over you, but if you want to give me a legal reason to put you in the ground, go ahead." Carl's face paled as he raised his hands. "Whoa, man. Let's just take it easy." Adam turned back to Melanie with a look of pure contempt. "Seems your boyfriend isn't much of a fighter." Then his voice dropped into a colder tone. "Take whatever you need from the house and get out. Don't be here when I come back." Melanie broke into sobs. "Adam, I never meant for this to happen." But he had already turned away. As he walked to his car, she crumpled onto the driveway, covering her face with her hands. On his way to work, Adam pulled into an empty parking lot, grabbed his burner phone, and tossed it into a dumpster. Next went the fake tool. "Not bad," he muttered to himself, smirking as he drove off. Back at the office, he sat at his desk and sent an email with an attachment. It wasn't long before his phone rang. "This is Dr. Mayfair," the voice on the other end said. "Did you just email me a photo?" "Yes, sir. Sorry to disturb you again," Adam replied. "But I need to know if you recognize the man in the picture. His name is Carl." Mayfair paused, then replied, "I believe I do." "The woman standing next to him, she's your wife?" "Ex-wife," Adam corrected. "Ah, a beautiful woman. I think she was in one of my classes last year. As for the man, yes, I know him. That's Carl Mannheim, one of my dissertation students." Adam clenched his jaw. Carl Mannheim. He repeated the name in his head, committing it to memory. "Thanks for the confirmation, Doctor. That's exactly what I needed." Mayfair's voice took on a philosophical tone. "So he was the serpent in your Garden of Eden?" Adam gave a hollow laugh. "Something like that, but let's not pretend my Eve was innocent." Mayfair sighed. "I understand. I'm sorry the truth wasn't what you wanted. But everything happens for a reason, young man. You'll find your way." Adam exhaled. "I appreciate your help, Doctor. Take care, Adam. And remember, things have a way of working themselves out." 2 months later, Adam sat across from his lawyer, his fingers tapping impatiently against the desk. "Any updates from Melanie's attorney?" he asked. His lawyer nodded. "Yes, I spoke with Hannah Montrose yesterday. This morning, she sent over a counteroffer. The good news? Melanie is no longer contesting the divorce. Once Hannah heard the recordings you made at home, she advised your wife not to risk them being played in court. Adam let out a breath. And the bad news? His lawyer adjusted his glasses. Now that she's accepted it's over, she's determined to squeeze as much money out of you as possible. Adam scoffed. Typical. She cheats and lies, but I'm the one who has to pay the price. What's she asking for? Well, the lawyer began, flipping through the document. Normally, we'd expect a demand for asset division, but in your case, there isn't much to split. You rent your home, you don't have a pension plan, and your savings aren't substantial. The only real asset is your stake in the business, which, as of now, is operating at a loss. She probably assumes it'll fail, so she isn't interested in it. Instead, she's demanding alimony. Adam let out a bitter chuckle. So much faith in my business, huh? The lawyer slid the papers across the desk. Take a look. Adam scanned the document, his expression tightening. This is insane. She knows I can't afford this. If I agree to these terms, I might as well shut my company down now. She refuses to negotiate, his lawyer warned. So, unless we come to an agreement, Hannah is prepared to take this before Judge Abernathy. Adam's jaw tensed. Then we'll go to court. I'm not going to let her wreck my future just because she destroyed our marriage. His lawyer nodded. Understood, Adam. But keep in mind, Judge Abernathy has full discretion. Once he makes a ruling, it's final. Adam sat in the courtroom, his jaw clenched as he waited for the judge's decision. Both attorneys had made their arguments, and now it was in the hands of Judge Abernathy. Leaning toward his lawyer, Adam whispered, How do you think it went? His attorney sighed. Hard to predict, could go either way, or the judge might strike a middle ground. The bailiff called for order as Judge Abernathy returned to the bench. Everyone rose, then sat once the judge did. Clearing his throat, Abernathy flipped through the case file before looking up. Before issuing my ruling, I have a few questions for Mrs. Weatherby. At the prosecution's table, Melanie's attorney, Hannah Montrose, stiffened. She turned to her client and murmured, Stay calm, answer respectfully. Address him as Your Honor. Adam's lawyer leaned in. When the judge starts questioning the other side like this, it's usually not a good sign for them. Adam's eyes narrowed as Melanie stood and adjusted her suit jacket. The outfit was modest, but tailored enough to highlight her figure. He caught the judge giving her a once-over and shook his head. We're screwed, he muttered. The judge skimmed his notes, then looked at Melanie. Mrs. Weatherby, the only remaining issue is the amount of alimony. Your requested figure is considerably higher than your husband's counteroffer. That's correct, Your Honor. And how do you justify the amount you're seeking? Melanie straightened. We are asking for increased financial support because of the duration of the marriage and the fact that I am now starting over from scratch. The judge nodded. Mr. Weatherby contends that his business, his sole source of income, is currently operating at a loss. Why do you believe he has the means to meet your request? Hannah Montrose interjected. Your Honor, we believe Mr. Weatherby is deliberately underreporting his income by funneling additional funds into his business. He could afford the requested alimony if he simply adjusted his financial priorities. Judge Abernathy's brow furrowed. The audited statements show clear negative cash flow, Miss Montrose. Are you implying financial fraud? Melanie's face paled. Montrose backtracked quickly. No, Your Honor. We are merely suggesting that within legal accounting frameworks, revenue can be deferred and expenses accelerated. Adam clenched his jaw and whispered, She knows that's nonsense. She's just trying to squeeze me dry. The judge returned to the documents in front of him. Until now, we've focused on Mr. Weatherby's business investments. But looking at these records, it's evident that he also made significant investments in you, Mrs. Weatherby, particularly your education. Melanie's expression hardened. If you're referring to my MBA, Your Honor, then yes, Adam covered my tuition. But I did the work. I studied, took the exams, wrote the dissertation. I dedicated 2 years, every day, including summers, to earn that degree. And you recently graduated, correct? Yes, sir. With honors, she added, lifting her chin. The judge nodded. Impressive. That will be all. You may take your seat. Melanie sat beside her attorney, still composed. Judge Abernathy folded his hands on the bench. After reviewing all arguments and evidence, I have made my decision. I intend to grant Mrs. Weatherby the full amount of alimony she has requested. Adam tensed as Melanie gasped in relief and clutched her lawyer's arm. But the judge wasn't finished. This financial arrangement would allow Mrs. Weatherby to maintain a comfortable lifestyle without the immediate need for employment. However, I must also consider that she has just earned a graduate degree, making her qualified for well-paying business positions. To encourage her to utilize that education, I am awarding alimony for 6 months. Melanie's head snapped up. 6 months? That's it? You can't do that! I can, and I have, Judge Abernathy said, his tone final. He slammed the gavel onto the bench. Next case. Melanie turned toward her lawyer in shock. Montrose urgently whispered to her, trying to calm her down, but Melanie was too flustered to listen. It wasn't until the bailiff stepped forward that she fell silent. Adam smirked as he rose. 6 months. I can live with that. His lawyer grinned. Honestly, I thought we were finished when he went with her number, but I guess he didn't like how she tried to milk you for everything. Not many guys walk out of divorce court this easily. Adam chuckled. You don't think pleading no contest to infidelity played a role? His lawyer shrugged. Technically, the judge wasn't supposed to factor that into financial rulings, but let's just say I wouldn't bet my house that rule was followed today. Adam glanced over his shoulder at Melanie, who was still arguing with Montrose. He shook his head, laughing. Whatever happened, I'm walking away happy. A familiar face. As Adam exited the courtroom, a firm hand rested on his shoulder. He turned to see an older gentleman with sharp eyes and a dignified presence. I wanted to introduce myself, the man said, extending a hand. I'm Professor Mayfair. Adam grasped it. Professor, it's a pleasure to meet you in person. Thanks again for your help. What brings you here? Mayfair smiled knowingly. After our conversation, I became interested in your case and thought I'd drop by to see how it ended. He then gave Adam a sly grin. Also, I had a chance to catch up with an old friend, Judge Abernathy. Adam blinked. You know the judge? Oh, quite well, Mayfair said, his eyes twinkling. I'm pleased to see things worked in your favor. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. We divorced men must stick together. As Mayfair walked away, Adam watched him go, shaking his head. Interesting. From the corner of his eye, he thought he caught a glimpse of Gary in the crowd. But when he turned to look, she was gone. Melanie hesitated before pressing the familiar contact in her phone. Her fingers trembled slightly as she listened to the ringing on the other end. After a few beats, a familiar voice answered. Melanie, well, there's a name I didn't expect to see pop up, Gary said, her tone polite but noticeably guarded. It's been ages since we last talked. How's life treating you? Melanie swallowed hard. Honestly, not great. That's why I called. I really needed someone to talk to. Of course, Gary replied smoothly. Tell me, what's going on? Did you ever find the dream job you were after? Melanie sighed. That's part of the problem. I thought having an MBA would open doors, but apparently companies value experience more than a degree. Most of the offers I've gotten are unpaid internships. Oof, that's rough, Gary murmured. So where did you end up? When the alimony ran out, I was desperate, Melanie admitted. I even took a job as an administrative assistant for a while, but it was miserable. Now I'm trying my hand at financial advising. That's quite a shift. Yeah, actually, that's one of the reasons I called, Melanie said cautiously. I was wondering if you'd be interested in reviewing your finances. A lot of people don't realize how much money they could be saving. A brief pause. Oh, Melanie, Gary finally said, her voice light but firm. I'd love to help you, but I'm doing just fine financially. I don't really need any guidance at the moment. Sorry. It's okay, Melanie sighed. I get that a lot. It's just hard breaking into this field. I even had to move back in with my mom to cut expenses. You're living with your mother? Gary asked, sounding surprised. What happened to Carl? Melanie's expression darkened. Don't even mention his name. Gary raised an eyebrow. Oh, that bad? He turned out to be a complete disaster, Melanie said bitterly. He never even finished his MBA. His advisor rejected his thesis, told him he'd have to start over, and instead of trying again, he just quit. After that, he refused to look for work, spent his days playing video games and drinking. Things got bad, really bad. I had to call the police on him before I finally got him out of my life. Gary exhaled slowly. Wow, Mel, that's awful. Melanie let out a hollow laugh. Yeah, guess I dodged a bullet. Well, on the bright side, at least now you're free to do whatever you want. Wasn't that what you wanted back when you were married? Dancing, parties, excitement? Melanie sighed. That stuff costs money, Gary. And honestly, it's not all it's cracked up to be. I finally understand what someone once told me. There are a lot more creeps out there than good men. There was a moment of silence before Melanie decided to switch the topic. What about you? How's life treating you? Anyone special in your life? Gary chuckled. Actually, quite a lot has changed for me. I'm getting married next month. Melanie's jaw nearly dropped. Married? That's amazing. Who's the lucky guy? Do I know him? There was a brief pause before Gary answered, her voice carrying a quiet, triumphant satisfaction. Yes, you do. It's Adam. The silence that followed was deafening. My Adam? Melanie finally managed to croak. You're engaged to Adam? That can't be right. You can't do this. Gary didn't flinch. It's already done. We're having a small civil ceremony at our new house, and after that, we're heading to Paris for our honeymoon. New house? A honeymoon in Paris? Adam can't afford all that. Gary's voice remained calm, almost amused. A lot has changed, Melanie. The same month you packed up and moved to Florida, Adam closed the deal he had been chasing for years. It skyrocketed his business. His new product ended up being exactly what the auto industry needed. Melanie felt like she was in a dream. What? And that's not all, Gary continued. Earlier this year, Adam received a multi-million-dollar offer to sell his company. He accepted. The deal is closing next week. So don't worry, he won't have any financial struggles. Melanie's mind reeled. This can't be happening. Gary's tone turned sharper, cutting through Melanie's shock. You know, Mel, this could have been your life. But you weren't satisfied. You had a good man, and you threw it all away. I warned you that you were risking everything for your little affair, and I even told you that if you lost him, there'd be plenty of women waiting to take your place. Melanie gritted her teeth. You encouraged me! You helped me come up with the plan! Her voice broke as realization struck. Oh my God, you set me up! You planned this from the start! Gary chuckled. Melanie, let's be clear. I didn't force you to do anything. All I did was listen while you fantasized about your harmless little adventure. I just made sure you had enough rope to hang yourself. I trusted you. Melanie's voice cracked with fury. I thought you were my friend. Friends give advice, Gary said smoothly. And I gave you plenty. What you chose to do with it, that was all on you. Melanie gasped. It was you. You were the one who warned Adam about Carl? Gary's laughter was soft, almost pitying. Think, Melanie. If I had told Adam myself, don't you think he would have asked how I knew? That would have been sloppy. But I did tell you to keep your secret email account open, didn't I? And I did suggest Adam check your emails. I've used Gmail long enough to know exactly what would happen when he did. Melanie's breath caught. You orchestrated everything. I just set the dominoes in place, Gary said lightly. You knocked them over all by yourself. You manipulative snake. Adam deserves to know what you did. I'll tell him everything. I'll make sure he sees you for the scheming, conniving Gary sighed. Melanie, I'd love to stay and chat, but Adam and I have plans tonight, and I want to look extra nice for him. She paused, letting the words sink in. Oh, and don't bother calling again. I'm blocking your number as soon as I hang up. You won't get away with this, but the line had already gone dead. A letter arrives. That evening, as Adam walked through the front door, Gary greeted him with a slow, lingering kiss. He returned it, then pulled a folded piece of paper from his pocket. You won't believe who wrote to me today, he said, holding it out. Gary raised an eyebrow as she took it. Melanie? She asked, feigning mild surprise. Wow, haven't thought about her in ages. What does she want? Adam gave her a knowing look. She claims you manipulated everything just to get me away from her. She says you plotted this entire thing, from start to finish. Gary skimmed the letter, then smirked, handing it back. Poor Melanie, she said with a shake of her head. If she wanted her little revenge letter to be halfway believable, she should have added one last detail. Adam tilted his head. Oh? And what's that? She winked. She should have signed it Good Friend. There was a pause, then Adam burst into laughter. It was a long time before he stopped.